they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that? You understand that? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that? You understand that?
Ladies and gentlemen, the pleb is back. In this report, Justin Trudeau came back on his 10-year anniversary of getting elected and posted on social media and got absolutely destroyed in the process. Also tonight, Jamil Javani is hitting the college campuses across Canada, and some footage has emerged of Jamil debating a woke liberal, and it goes exactly how you would think. Also tonight, the CBC are melting down that Canadians are fed up with mass immigration. You won't want to miss this report. Stick around. Before we start this report, if you think the left is absolutely ridiculous, then you found yourself a new home over here, so smash that subscribe button and let's start the report. Welcome to your Tuesday report. It's good to be back making content regularly and getting videos out because I know how much you guys missed me, and I certainly missed you. Tonight's first story will be about Justin Trudeau, who is getting absolutely annihilated on the internet because he put out a post 10 years after he finally got elected, and, well, it didn't turn out the way he thought it would. Before we get into the Trudeau post, though, I want to take a moment to acknowledge Justin Trudeau's new relationship, which I have not talked about on this channel, and just wanted to take a moment to congratulate Justin on his new girlfriend. Now, if I was a betting man, I would have bet that it would have been a relationship with a dude, but Justin Trudeau, the space cadet, is dating an astronaut. Now, many on the internet were skeptical about this new relationship because, quite frankly, the pictures they've supplied us with were kind of fuzzy. The resolution was terrible. How do we know that that is Katy Perry on the boat and not Dylan Mulvaney? Because when you look at this picture, it kind of looks like Trudeau's dating the Bud Light dude. And after riding high off his new relationship with Katy Perry or possibly Dylan Mulvaney, Justin Trudeau decided to put out a 10-year anniversary post, which caught the attention of the media here. The Toronto Sun saying Justin Trudeau's 10-year election anniversary posts did not go over well with Canadians. How about we go see this post? The king of gaslighting himself, Justin Trudeau, put out this post saying, 10 years ago today, Canadians chose a more hopeful path. I'll never forget that night in 2015, the energy, the optimism, and the belief that together we could build a better future. A decade later, we lifted hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty. Yeah, right? Strengthened and grown the middle class, built $10 a day childcare system, led the fight against climate change, advanced reconciliation, and made Canada more inclusive and fair for everyone. I'm deeply grateful to everyone who was part of this journey and believed that better is always possible. Ugh. But thankfully, I'm not the only one who felt that way. As you can see here, Trudeau on his anniversary post is getting absolutely annihilated here. 8,300 comments to 8,200 likes. Trudeau's even getting ratioed in retirement. And this comment section was about as brutal as you expect, with Ryan Garrettson calling this next level gaslighting, which he's correct. Cat Canada saying Trudeau belongs in prison. Kirk Luminov saying the delusional nerve to even come up with this nonsense is unbelievable. Jinglei writes, my generation will forever be worse off than our parents' generation because of your destructive policies. Worst PM in history. Salty Albertan writes, shut your hole, you're going to prison, Nancy TikTok. Wow. This comment section's not very nice. House of Commons staffer says, get stuffed. Even your replacement talks daily about how bad your regime was. David Perez writes, ha 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 ha, F you. I mean, These comments are brutal. Absolutely brutal. How effing high are you right now? By every measure, the country is in far worse shape. Go F yourself forever, you prick. As a criminal, please turn yourself into police ASAP and confess. Legacy, getting away with scandals. Only it was sandals. Yeah, this Brittany writes, you ruined this place. I mean, these comments are brutal and well-deserved. But nothing beats this comment from my buddy Mario, who ratios the prime minister off this comment here, saying, correction, 10 years ago was the beginning of your destructive path. You and the MPs still in power have added more debt than all PMs in history, ruined our healthcare with uncontrolled immigration, violent crimes have skyrocketed, taxes are at all-time highs, investment and capital are fleeing the country. You divided our country and our people unlike anyone else in history. No one will ever forgive or forget what you and Jagmeet did. You decimated the livelihood of Canadians. Shame on you. Beautiful ratio. Perfect. And Mario has been on quite the tear lately, not only ratioing Trudeau, he's ratioing Carney on a regular basis, which means that he will probably get locked up for social media posts, in which I will say to Mario, I look forward to hanging out with you in the gulag. But anyways, enough with the foolish liberals. Let's move over to the conservatives. And yesterday I featured Jamil Javani on my channel talking about his takes on DEI, which you guys absolutely loved. And over the weekend, Jamil Javani was out debating college students in Canadian universities and posted this clip that I thought was so good, I had to share it on today's episode.
I find it outrageous, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm just being real.
So evidently you guys stand for a lot of things. There's the criminal justice stuff, there's the freedom of speech stuff, which is all great. But I think the core of the Conservative Party is the economic policies. So I've got two questions for you guys. First, looking at your platforms, a common theme is reducing the role of government and increasing the role of for-profit organizations. Profit can only be increased relative to revenue by either paying workers less or charging customers more. As workers and customers, why should we vote for people giving more money and power to for-profit organizations, the same billionaires and mega corporations price gouging our rent and groceries? It's common sense not to trust the federal government, but why not instead subsidize not-for-profits or municipal-level government programs? Second question, less important than the first question. Another common theme in your platforms is the culture war, fighting against woke and DEI. The rising cost of living shows that the real divide in Canada is between people charging prices and the people paying prices. In the light of these serious economic problems, why are you keeping people divided for gender identity and skin color?
They don't understand that wokeness naturally divides people by color, income, sexuality. This is what woke is, and DEI is divisive, but let's listen to Jamil cook this guy.
Well, I'm going to answer your second question first, because I find it outrageous, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm just being real. The people promoting DEI are the ones dividing us based on skin color. And the people who want opportunity distributed fairly and public services distributed fairly, regardless of what you look like or where you come from, those are the people seeking to bring us together. I would ask you very humbly, since you seem to have a problem with big corporations, why do you think Rogers and Bell advertise their DEI policies while charging Canadian consumers some of the highest cell phone bills in the entire world? Why do the big banks, who seem to do just fine in our economy despite the youth unemployment rate continuing to rise, promote DEI policies? Do you believe it's because they have a genuine interest in making things fairer or easier for the average Canadian consumer? Or is it because it's a way to virtue signal and make it look like they care about the average person when they're really actually putting forward policies and a way of doing business that makes life harder and harder for the average person? So I would say with great confidence, that in pushing back against DEI, we are actually increasing the likelihood that all people are treated fairly, that people can come together, and that we might hold those powerful corporations you're concerned about accountable for what they're actually putting people through, which is a cost of living crisis. And we have been the party to push back against oligopolies more than anyone else in Ottawa, whether it's through groceries, banking, telecommunications. We believe the average Canadian consumer deserves more choice and that we will benefit from more competition. And that's what you get when you emphasize the role of the private sector in our economy. It's not about giving money away to big business. It's about saying no one small collection of businesses deserve to control the industries that we all depend on in order to function and survive in this society. So that's the answer to your second question. Do you want to ask a follow-up? Because I went kind of hard on you there. I'm happy to,
And thank you for the presentation.
yeah, appreciate it.
I can respond to the second question if that was the intention. If not, that's okay.
No, if I didn't answer any part of your questions, you're welcome to clarify.
No, the second question was good. I think we definitely agree on not liking monopolies and oligarchies, although I think historically, looking at the policies of the Conservative Party, it usually seems to benefit the big businesses already in power more than the small businesses trying to start up. And there's still the issue of relying on for-profit organizations in the first place.
Well, there's certainly some services that I'm a believer that the public sector should provide. I mean, we are in a country that prides itself on someone never having to go broke because they're sick. And I think that's something we should always stand by and fight for. I really believe that. I'm a cancer survivor. I would probably be 6 figures in debt right now if I was in another country. But because I was in this country, diagnosed at 30 years old, I was able to be taken care of and I didn't have to worry about my mother and my sisters, right? So, but at the same time, I believe that monopoly is always going to be a problem if you don't have balances of power. And when the federal government continues to grow, as the private sector shrinks, as more and more people become dependent on the government in order to earn a living, we are giving an increasing amount of power in the hands of bureaucrats who sit around in Ottawa. And as someone who has to drive to Ottawa every week, I can tell you, the bureaucrats in Ottawa don't understand your life. They don't know what you're going through, and they shouldn't have more power than is absolutely necessary to determine what our country is like and the opportunities that are available to you.
Wow. Good job, Jamil. I like this guy. I like him. This is what I like to see, and this is what we need more of. The left and the right getting into debates and having conversations and realizing that we probably have more in common than we don't. And that, yes, government is evil. Whether you're a leftist or on the right, I think we can all agree government and more government is essentially bad. And one of these things that has inspired me recently is seeing these debates at the college campuses, but also seeing the vibes here in Canada completely changing as the average Canadian is completely over mass immigration. And over at the CBC, they cannot handle that the average Canadian wants less immigration because it goes against the liberal agenda. And in this following clip, we're going to watch the CBC have a meltdown because their narrative is crumbling.
No. That the Canadians who seem least hospitable to high levels of immigration are Indigenous Canadians.
Yeah, I certainly, there's no intention here to try to portray this as a xenophobia thing, though there is.
It's so funny that the Indigenous are the ones opposing this because the liberals can't say anything. They can't say, oh, you're wrong. They can't call Indigenous people Nazis for wanting less immigration. I just love it. I love it. I love how they fold anytime Indigenous people want a certain thing. The left cannot say no, and it's twisting their mind in a pretzel here. This is incredible.
Yeah, I certainly, there's no intention here to try to portray this as a xenophobia thing, though there is some data that show it is occurrent with some people. But you talk about like Brampton and Surrey, where the Conservatives did well with South Asian diaspora voters in particular. A lot of what you hear from the campaigns is a lot of second generation and third generation, very worried about affordability, crime, the cost of housing, which are sort of things that cut across the entire population. But you do get some numbers that give me some pause. And I'm not trying to attribute this to any type of Canadian, but 36% agree that immigrants increase the level of crime.
Only 36% agree with that. I think so. Just look at this. Look at Brampton. Look at the crime statistics in Brampton. Brampton is the city that the majority of the people in Brampton were born outside of Canada. Did you know that? Brampton has some of the most out of control crime in all of Canada. These things are connected. Wake up.
And 39% that the country accepts too many from racial minority groups. There is a whiff of xenophobia in that kind of data, and you worry about what that could mean if that holds or grows from there.
They're panicking. They're absolutely panicking, and it's glorious. And to say that it's xenophobia, you know what's funny? When I was touring the country during the last election, some of the people I spoke to that were the most anti-immigration were immigrants. We're people of color. They're the ones who want immigration cut the most. It's the white people that want more immigration. It's actually funny, and it's twisting their heads into a pretzel, and they don't know how to deal with this. And Brampton is insane. When I was on the campaign in Brampton, we went out for dinner one night after a rally, and we literally watched a car get stolen right in front of the restaurant we were at. Yes, things are bad in Canada. And the reason people are against immigration is because, well, some of these immigrants are misbehaving. We're bringing over young military-aged men who work low-wage jobs like McDonald's, Tim Hortons, and they're coming here and they're creating chaos like we saw last night in Mississauga, where they shut down the highway to do street races. Look at this. Look. They shut down the highway at 3 a.m. to do street. Like, what is this? We never seen this before. What is this lawlessness? Look, they have their faces covered, but you can tell that this is, well, what the CBC would say, South Asian. This is an Indian dude. This is an Indian dude. I'm telling you. They're creating chaos here in Canada, and they don't give a hell. They don't care about the rules, because if they break the law, they don't get deported here. The judges will give them lesser sentences so they don't get deported. Like, no wonder people are against immigration. Our country is a joke, or being treated like a joke. And not only are they like acting a fool, lighting fireworks, closing highways for street races, fighting their secular battles from their homeland at temples, they're also like spitting in our face here by advertising illegal services on Instagram, not caring on how we're going to smuggle you from Canada to the United States. And they're advertising this in Hindi. We don't need to play the audio, but like, these are 4 dudes, okay, who just crossed the border into the United States, and they're so brazen that they advertise it all over TikTok and Instagram. They don't care. There's no consequences. This is why people are against mass immigration, because we're not bringing in the right ones. And I truly feel bad for the old school immigrants who came here and did things the right way, applied legally, stayed within their visas, did everything the right way. And now these young men from South Asia, as the CBC will say, are coming in here acting a fool and destroying all the good grace from the previous generations of immigrants. I truly feel bad for the old school immigrants. And another reason that Canadians are against immigration is because they're demoralized, completely demoralized. The data is showing it. The majority of Canadians believe that they're not going to have the same opportunities in the future that they had in the past. Look at this clip.
Their standard of living, where do they expect to be?
These are killer stats, Roger. You know, we track every 90 days. We ask Canadians whether they think that the next generation will have a higher, lower, or the same standard of living. In the latest round that we just completed a couple weeks ago, 8%, Roger. Only 8% think that the next generation will have a higher standard of living. Almost 2 out of
look at that during the Harper years, 26-8. Oh my God! All it took was a woke idiot and dumb people to vote for him to do this to our country. Oh boy.
every 3 Canadians, 64% think that the next generation will have a lower standard of living. And the thing is, that negativity on the lower standard of living has increased since the election from 59 to 64. Now,
Yeah, because they know Carney's a fraud.
I guess one way to look at it, if we go like way back, the thing is that, we see that those negative numbers have been as high as 70. But the fact of the matter is, today, Canadians are 8 times more likely to think that the next generation will have a lower standard of living.
That is an incredible swing in 13 years. When was the last time, do you have the numbers on when it was this bad?
Well, when Justin Trudeau was Prime Minister.
Is that when it was?
Yeah, well, when he was Prime Minister, things there was a lot of negativity. Actually, it was more negative when he was Prime Minister, and just before the election, the numbers were, I think, at around 70% in terms of lower when we look back at the March numbers. But they improved a little bit, and now they're they're going back into negative territory, Roger.
People are waking up. Canadians are waking up. Things are bad in Canada. I mean, our government is so horrific that they need to literally bribe companies to set up shop here. But as we're seeing with Mark Carney, companies are starting to flee out of Canada, and they're flooding us with Tim Hortons workers from the third world all over the country in places you never saw it before. Things are falling apart in Canada, ladies and gentlemen, but hopefully we can turn this around by reducing immigration by a lot, cutting taxes, making this country business friendly so that businesses want to come here. No healthy country needs to bribe companies to come do business in their country. This is not how it works. Companies want to go do businesses where it's business in places that it's going to be advantageous for them. It's just what it is. And Canada's created such a shit climate here that companies need to be bribed to come here. And Stellantis got billions of dollars of our money. And guess what? They still left because the Canadian government are suckers. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's report. I kept you guys long here enough. It's good to be back making silly videos. I want you to tell me in the comments, though, what did you guys think of that Jamil debate with the college student? Do we need to see more of that? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it disrespectful? I want to hear your feedback in the comments down below. And if you guys enjoyed today's report, make sure to smash like, subscribe, tell your friends The Pleb is back on YouTube. My name is The Pleb. I'll see you at the next report.